Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I have something a little bit special for you, and that is because Johannes Hagberg, who is the brand coordinator for Latitude 64, and sorry if I butchered that name by the way, but anyway, he reached out to me to give me early access to the new Royal Box that will be coming out in 2024 from Latitude 64. And in this Royal Box, there are, I believe, 5 discs in it, but the stars of the show are 2 never-before-seen prototype molds that are going to be released sometime in 2024. And so in this video, I'm going to be doing kind of an unboxing and just kind of going through the disc with you a little bit. And then I will, in the future, here very shortly, put out some reviews of these discs. And in particular, I really want to take a look at these new prototype molds because we have never heard about these before or seen anything about them before. And so I'm really excited to kind of dive into it. So yeah, we're gonna do an unboxing here, just kind of take a look at the disc, give you some first impressions on how they feel, as well as if they gave me any type of information about the disc, I'll share it with you. They were pretty secretive in the email that they gave me. First and foremost, I'll go ahead and open the box. It's just a, a cardboard box from Latitude 64. Nothing too special about the box part. And when we lift it up, I get this note right here, which might be mirrored or backwards for you, sorry. So I'll read it. It says, "Hey, Johannes here. This is the 2024 Royal Box. It's a peek into the future, and we would love to have your feedback on the new disc, which I will certainly give." They gave me a QR code that I can scan to send my feedback, which I'll certainly do after I do my review videos, which we'll release soon. And it says, if you want more info on the disc, it's on the other side of this paper. And that's whenever this pops up, which again, this might be mirrored, so you're probably seeing it in reverse. I'm sorry about that. But I will certainly go through this information as I open the box. But I'm not going to read that information just yet. I kind of want to, be a little bit surprised. So we've opened the box. And inside the box, we got it in a little draw bag. So we pull the little draw bag out. There we go. And so essentially what they've done is they've put 3 discs in here, but just in new plastic, so discs that we already know, mold-wise, and then they've put the 2 prototypes in there, which are going to come in that Royal line. But anyway, the first disc we're going to pull out is actually the Grand Hope. And so the Hope was originally a putter that came out in the Royal line in the Sense plastic, so kind of their base putter plastic. So we're just taking a look at the Hope here. Again, sorry if it's a little bit mirrored. Mine is kind of like a blue, green, teal, like kind of swirly burst kind of plastic. And so the Hope, it says, "I have personally been looking forward to making the Hope in a premium Grand plastic, and we have gotten a lot of feedback to make the Grand Hope happen from you as well. This will be a great throwing putter that wants to fly straight. Compared to the Sense Hope, which is the base plastic Hope that some people are using for putting, this one will have added stability and also more durability. Really love the feel of the Grand Plastic, and we went crazy with the colors on this one, and we are adding the Grand Hope to the official lineup in 2024. So if you're someone who putts with the Hope or throws a base plastic Hope, you will now in 2024 be able to get your hands on a really, really cool, like burst designed, plastic. It feels just like the Royal Grand Plastic that you see on like the Rive or the Grace or the Honor, the Glory. They've done the Savior. They've done it several different discs like this, and it's really great. I don't have too much experience with the Hope. It's an unbeaded kind of deeper field putter. Almost kind of feels a little bit like just like your standard deeper non-beaded putter, kind of like a P2 or something along those lines. And so, yeah, I mean, this is pretty awesome. There's a back, there's a front. That's the Hope. And again, I haven't really thrown the Hope, but I definitely like the way it feels in the hand. It should be like a nice stable, just slightly overstable throwing putter on backhand. So I'll definitely, do a video with that here soon. Then the next one we got is the Savior. And of course, the Savior did come out in Royal Plastic in the past, but this is now Sense Moonshine. So it's a base plastic, but moonshine. So I imagine it's very similar to kind of the Moonshine Pures that came out that Kristen Tatar putts with. It's probably kind of a similar plastic to that, but it's that Sense plastic. So it feels very tacky, but still feels premium. So really awesome. And it's like a really cool stamp as well. And so here we go. This is hopefully now kind of an unmirrored version of the Savior, so you can kind of see it. Again, the Hope, there wasn't a whole lot to show on that one, but I'll show it again. There's the Hope in bursts. Sorry about the mirrored camera at first, but we've got that sorted out. And so what they say about this Sense Moonshine Savior is that the Savior has been a great addition to the Royal lineup. Its purpose as a trusty approach disc has been seen. It's mostly used for forehand approaches. The Savior and Sense Plastic will beat in faster, and having a straighter Savior is definitely something that they look forward to having. So expect the Sense Savior release in 2024. This is just this really cool special edition stamp. Again, this is also Moonshine, so it's going to be able to glow in the dark a little bit. And I don't have too much experience with Savior. I've done it a little bit. It's actually a pretty nice, like, low profile disc, like maybe a little bit lower profile than the Harp, but maybe a similar stability to the Harp. And so it kind of gets Latitude 64 their version of the Harp, since obviously the Harp is a West Side disc. So this is really nice feeling plastic. Again, it's really tacky, but again, it feels premium. Like, it feels awesome. And again, the Savior is definitely a disc that I think is really good. I kind of throw a Suspect in this slot, and then if I want something more overstable than that, I've always used like a Zone, or if I want something faster, like a Pyro, and then obviously the Justice is like super beef. So that's kind of what I roll with, but I would say this kind of compares depth-wise kind of to a Harp or a Zone, like somewhere in between. It's definitely not as low profile as, say, the Suspect or like an A2 or something along those lines. A little bit deeper than that, but definitely is a nice flat top. Definitely feels good for forehands. And yeah, something that's going to be able to beat in to be a little bit of a straighter flight than the Royal Savior, but it's still going to be able to, because it starts off, you know, slightly overstable, still have that dependable finish at the end probably. So really cool disc. Definitely looking forward to throwing that as well. We got the next one, and this looks sick, folks. So this is the Royal Orbit Honor, and look at that really cool stamp. It's got the wings kind of forming almost like a star kind of design. You got the crowns around the Honor, which is, of course, surrounding the Latitude 64 logo. Mine is white with the black orbit effect, and the stamp is kind of like this burnt orange kind of vibe to it. And we've definitely been seeing, you know, the Royal Plastic come out with Orbit versions. We've also just seen Orbit Plastic in general throughout Trilogy on all kinds of discs. So now the Honor is getting that treatment. And it says, during 2023, we released the Honor, a 9-speed disc that fits between the Pioneer and the Explorer stability-wise. For most humans on Earth, the Honor will be quite overstable. It's still a disc you can get some distance out of, more than the Pioneer, for example. This Royal Box run will have the orbit effect paired with this limited 5-wing stamp design. And so I've thrown the Honor a little bit. I don't have crazy experience with it, but it's definitely one of those discs, because I do bag felons for forehands mostly, but also for that overstable 9-speed slot for throwing. And the Honor definitely has a little bit more glide and has a little bit more forward push, but still has some pretty good finish comparable to a Felon, which I know Felons and Pioneers are pretty similar. It just kind of depends on what you like the most. And the Explorer is definitely less stable and slower. It's a 7-speed, right? So, you know, obviously the Honor's been out there for a while, so you're probably familiar with it. And this is just going to be an Orbit version with this really cool limited edition stamp that'll come in the Royal Box for 2024. This is an awesome disc. I mean, again, I thought the Honor is cool. I kind of bag Felons and Dynasties for this kind of 9-speed slot that's, you know, stable to slightly overstable. But this disc definitely could easily kind of fit somewhere next to them or in between them or something like that. So definitely look forward to giving that a try as well. So now we get to the new stuff, folks. We get to the spicy new stuff. We get to the prototypes. And the first prototype disc is the Royal Brave. Here we go. The Royal Brave prototype. Mine is blue, swirly, almost has like the swirl pattern that almost is like the radiation symbol or something like that kind of in the middle. And then I have red foil on mine. But yeah, really, really kind of like just swirly, has some white kind of mixed into it as well. It doesn't really come through on the camera that well. This one's 176 grams. And what they say about this prototype Brave is it is a 7-speed. So the Glory was, of course, kind of a stable to slightly overstable, I would call it overstable, 7-speed that Latitude 64 came out with. That was basically maybe like a slower Honor. You know, still has a lot of overstability like the Honor had, but it was in a 7-speed. And what they're saying about the Brave is the rim width, it is a 7-speed, and Latitude's vision with this mold was to make it have the feel of an Explorer, but a more understable flight. They say that their best description of this disc is that it glides like a river, but feels like an explorer. And for Johannes, it is an understable disc he can put some power behind and just watch it glide forever. I don't think I have thrown this far with the Speed 7 disc before. So what I imagine this disc will be like, because I do bag explorers in the 7-speed slot, is I imagine it's just going to be maybe a straighter explorer, or maybe even a slightly more understable explorer. So I bag 2 explorers currently, one that's a gold line, and the gold line explorer is a disc that, you know, flies pretty straight but still has some fade to it. Then I have an Opto X explorer, which is like pretty beefy. Like, it definitely has some forward penetration, but it definitely likes to fade left pretty hard throughout the majority of the flight. And I think this Brave is meant to be kind of like that straighter explorer, or maybe even a little bit flippier than that. So it might be similar to a River, but I'm curious because outside of that, for 7 speeds in Trilogy, you have like the Underworld, the Seer, and the Maul, and a couple of other discs that kind of have that -2 or -3 turn rating that are definitely very flippy 7 speeds. So I feel like the Brave is maybe their attempt to kind of fit somewhere in between those really understable ones, like the Underworld and the Seer and the Maul and things of that nature, and kind of go between that and the Explorer, you know, to kind of be a slightly straighter. And again, the River kind of did serve that purpose for them, but now you're going to get kind of a royal treatment of that disc by it being in this premium royal plastic. And so I'll be curious to throw this disc. I'll definitely bring this out to the field and throw it. I'll probably bring a couple of Explorers with me to kind of compare it to the Explorer. I think I'll also have a Maul, which is like a pretty understable 7-speed from Latitude 64 that I can also compare it to. So I'll be able to do some really cool comparisons, I think, with this disc between this, the Explorer, the Maul, and a couple of other 7 speeds I have that I think maybe will match. And so it'll be really cool to see how this flies. Maybe it'll be kind of like the S-Line FD that just, the reimagined FD that Dismay just put out. You know, maybe it'll be kind of similar in that vein would be kind of my guess. But hand feel wise, definitely feels like a 7-speed. Feels good. Again, the Royal Plastic is the best on the market. In my opinion, it's just super smooth. It kind of reminds me of the old school gold line plastic from Latitude 64, which is like my favorite plastic of all time. So it really does have that vibe to it. It definitely, like, when you kind of look at the profile of the disc, it has that more understable profile to it. Just kind of looking at the wing and just how it's shaped and things of that nature, and just looking at the parting line and stuff like that. It definitely, yeah, I'll definitely do a more in-depth video about this disc, but this is just kind of my initial impressions. Then the next disc, we got the Strive, which is going to be kind of confusing because they have the Rive. And actually, this disc is a 13-speed, just like the Rive is. So this is the one that I have. This is the Royal Strive. Again, this also is very swirly. This one is like a yellow to like gold color plastic with a gold foil. And then it has like these gray swirls inside of it that you can kind of pick up on. Again, I know the glare from the lighting and stuff is probably making it pretty difficult to do. I'm trying to like manipulate it a little bit so you can kind of see some of that gray, but again, very swirly. It has like these rings just like constantly going around it of like kind of these different shades of like yellow / gold / orange with definitely, you know, some gray swirls in there as well. So this is really neat. So what they say about this is that rim width wise, they're considering a 13-speed distance driver, and they're saying you can call it an understable complement to the Rive. Now, with that said, they say it's definitely not a beginner disc. It's for still experienced players. But when Johannes throws it, and he has about 400 foot of power, he says it's a max distance disc that he can easily hyzer flip or use for max distance sweeping and hyzer shots and flies really, really far. So what I kind of wonder if this disc is going to be like is, again, you do have the Rive, which is a 13-speed disc that is stable to slightly overstable. In particular, the Orbit Rives do have some good overstability to them. And so this seems like an understable complement to the Rive. And so I wonder if it's kind of like Latitude 64 kind of getting their own version of like a Raider / Trespass type disc, right? Because you do have the Trespass and Raider from Dynamic Disc, and both of those discs, to me, are a little bit straighter than a Rive. A Rive has a little bit more stability to it than a Raider. Typically, the Raider did fly a little bit straighter, had a little bit more flip up than the Rive did. And then again, the Orbit Rives definitely had some pretty good overstability. Not necessarily like as overstable as an Enforcer or a Defender or something like that in the Trilogy lineup, but definitely still had some good stability to it. Again, you see a lot of players who play for Trilogy using the Rive or the Orbit Rive more particularly for kind of their straight to slightly overstable backhand driver. And then they kind of disc up to something like an Enforcer or a Defender to fight headwinds or to have a little bit more of an overstable finish. Obviously, the Ballista Pro also kind of is in that mix as well, that you'll see players use for max distance that can kind of be somewhat similar to the Rive, maybe a little bit more understable than the Rive in some cases, Ballista Pro for some people. And so the Strive is to kind of get yourself, I kind of wonder how it will compare to a Ballista Pro. I think a Ballista Pro might even be like a 14 speed. I don't really throw that disc, so I don't really know for sure. But this is the Strive, again, meant to be a slightly understable complement to the Rive. And so I look forward to throwing this. I wonder if this will be, you know, flippier, you know, kind of similar to maybe like a faster Sword, because the Sword definitely is a little bit flippier than the Rive. And to me, even flippier than like a Trespass or something like that. Or again, this will be like kind of similar to a Trespass, but a little bit faster. Again, maybe it's kind of just a royal version of a Raider. You know, again, just something that's going to be a little bit flippier than the Rive. Right now, there are no flight numbers for the Brave and the Strive, the two prototypes that came in the box. These do not have flight numbers. All they have said is that the Strive is meant to be a 13-speed disc and that the Brave is meant to be a 7-speed. They have not given any official numbers yet as far as glide or turn or fade or anything like that. But again, the whole point of the Brave is to be an understable complement to the Glory and to be maybe a straighter version of an Explorer, or maybe even like a slightly flippy version to the Explorer, kind of like a River, but maybe not as understable as a Maul or an Underworld or something along those lines, right? That's what they hope to achieve with this. And then with the Strive, they hope to have something that is definitely nowhere near as overstable as like an Enforcer or a Defender, but to be a little bit flippier than something like the Rive. Again, I think maybe it might be comparable to a Trespass. Maybe it even gets as flippy as a Sword. I'm not really sure. We'll have to kind of see. I'll definitely be putting out some more videos reviewing these prototypes. That'll be my main focus. And I will tell you, hand feel on the Strive to kind of finish this off, it doesn't feel as wide as some other 13 speeds out there. Like, if anything, hand feel wise, this feels not as wide as a Rive. And when you look at the profile, it definitely has that more understable profile to it. The way it's shaped is to be more understable. So the thing is, though, you know, it's shaped to be more understable because it is a wider rim. You still need that arm speed to be able to get it up to speed to get that understability out of it. And so it may be something to where if you're a lower arm speed player and you found the Rive to be a little too overstable, maybe this will be what works out for you in 2024. But again, these are just initial impressions. This is just an unboxing. And I'll definitely have to do some deeper reviews on these. But anyway, big shout out to Johannes Hogberg, the brand coordinator at Latitude for giving me early access to this, you know, Royal Box for 2024. Again, I look forward to doing some disc reviews of these discs, in particular, checking out these two prototypes, because these are two brand new molds that no one's had their hands on yet before. And so I really look forward to doing some reviews with that, and also looking at the other disc as well. So thanks so much for tuning in. Catch you next time.